you know the clinicians who are on duty at that particular time to say, I will want the clinician called so and so. Many times you want that clinician and that clinician is not on duty. So we are saying you have the right to select. If you are able to, then you have the right to select that clinician to attend to you. Yes. The patient has the right to be given the correct services. For example, a patient has the right to go to a clinician and tell the clinician, fine, I have given you these symptoms, but before you treat me, I want to undergo laboratory investigation. And patients are demanding that now. So it is the patient's right to say, before you treat me, let me be done ABCD for you to really tell me what you are treating me for. All right. The patient has the right to be listened to. For example, in terms of communication and raising complaints, patients have the right to have their complaints addressed immediately they have problems with. It is their right. And usually, in any patient service charter, will have the contacts of the contact person. So in case you are getting any problems, this is the person you should contact. So that is part of their rights. That is just a highlight
of some of the rights.
There are many.
I can also add one. The patient has a right of their results or their diagnosis, who to give to. If they want to have it themselves alone, then you don't have to tell other people. Yeah, so they have their right, to tell you who they are supposed to know what they are suffering from.
But is it possible, all these rights you're telling us today, is it possible considering our situation in hospitals? You know, you go there and the ratio of the patients that this person has to attend to is just too huge, and the patient has a complaint. Who do they go to? And, you know, there's 100 patients, one doctor, for example, in a day. I mean, is it really possible? And the room is also so small, and you're here, you have a very complicated disease. You want to explain yourself, but there are other people, again, lining up there and hearing what you're saying, and you're being told, hurry up, you know, like you can see we have so many people. Is it really possible today?
Well, currently, it is possible in some institutions, and it is not possible in most institutions. That is why we are requesting that there is need to invest in health. There is need to expand infrastructure so that we create that availability for the patients to be able to express themselves with a lot of confidence that what I'm raising here will be confidential between me and the clinician. That is important. However, with those limitations, still it is possible to exercise some of the rights. It is possible because a patient has the. It is possible for a patient to say, "Me, I will wait for as long as I wait. As long as when I go to see that clinician, it will be me and the clinician alone." That is their right. They can't demand that. However, still we have the ability to mitigate that in terms of the human resource, because those long queues are there because of shortage of human resource. If we had 10 rooms, those patients will not be queuing there. But we have only 2 rooms with 2 clinicians seeing the patients, a multitude of patients. So that is usually a challenge. So we need to invest in health, address the human resource, address infrastructure. We will be able to exercise those rights. Yes.
Okay, very important there. Also the issue of, let's talk a bit about, you know, some of the cases that we've had before. People want to be tested, people want the laboratory services, but the nature in which it is done, you know, if you know what I mean, it's a bit intrusive to some extent. What is being done right now, currently, if there is any effort to make sure that, you know, these tests are done in a different way, like you're given that small bottle to, you know, I mean, some people would avoid going to the lab because of certain, you know, conservation issues.
Okay, thank you. Some of the techniques that are used for diagnosis in hospitals are intrusive. And studies are always carried out. As I told you, medicine is dynamic, to try as much as possible to avoid those techniques that are making the patients to avoid going for the diagnosis. However, there are some things that still must be carried out the way they are because we've not had alternatives. However, it is still important I think most important is to explain to the client that at this particular point in time, we do not have an alternative to this technique that we are going to use. However, with this technique, these are the benefits of this technique. These are the things that you may likely feel uncomfortable about. Once you explain this, all this to the patient, I think that patient cannot shy away from wanting to get those services. The only problem is that some of the medical personnel do not take these steps, stepwise to the client before attempting to do those procedures. Some of the clinicians will just say, lie here, remove your clothes, let me examine you, without explaining that I will want to examine you. So to do that, this is what you are going to do. You will lie on this couch, you will remove your clothes, this is what I will do to you. All right? Before you subject the client to that. So I think it depends on
the person,
on the individual who is attending to that client. And I will, at this juncture, request the medical personnel, please interact with your patient. Explain what you are going to do to that. Even in the laboratory, before I insert that needle and syringe to you to collect that blood, I need to explain. I have to talk to you and explain. I have even to not lie to you that it's not painful. No, I have to tell you, you will feel like some slight pain.
They say it's not painful.
That is really not good customer relation. You need to explain to the client, you will feel some little pain when I'm injecting the needle, you will feel some little pain when I'm removing the needle, but this is a procedure, there is no other alternative way of me collecting the blood, and I need this blood specimen to diagnose, to arrive to diagnosis. Once you have explained to, by the way, clients, the patients are usually very cooperative. The moment you explain to that, they will say, Doctor, I am ready. All right?
Yeah, because I get what you're saying. Like, you know, once the patient understands the benefit and how it's going to be done, you know, if you know as a person that this thing is going to be very intrusive, you need to prepare your patient for that. Then they are going to be very comfortable while at it. That's very important. As we're about to bring this conversation to a close, probably, Agleen, as an advice to, you know, the lab officers, what are some of the things that they need to, you know, make sure they look, they're really careful at, to make sure that the report that they will give is the right one, so that to avoid cases of, you know, mishap's here and there and the wrong kind of diagnosis being given?
Yeah, I would only tell the lab technologists and lab scientists who are in the field, who are practicing, when they are dealing with the patients, they have to have the patient as the first thing. They put them first in everything, so that whatever procedure they are going to carry on in this patient, they should explain to the patient properly to understand, and also the procedures, we call them pre-analytic procedures, and analytic procedures, they should follow the standard operating procedures in doing all these things, so that at the end of the day, they are able to give results which reflect the conditions of these patients, and also to adhere to the ethics in the medical field, in the laboratory. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much for your time, guys. But just before we bring this conversation to a close, I would give you a chance to give us your final words on the conversation we've had. We've learned a lot, misdiagnosis and, you know, how it happens and what needs to be done. Your closing remarks, Safari.
Yes, thank you so much. My closing remarks would be, let's invest in health. Both the national government and the county governments have a big role to do this. Let us invest in health. Let us not see the budget towards health as being huge. Health is demanding. For us to be able to avoid the scenarios of misdiagnosis, investment in health in terms of human resource, equipment, and all the infrastructure is very important.
It's very important. Agleen?
Yeah, I would also say that we should invest so much on the human resource, because when we have enough human resource, we'll be able to deliver services on time and also accurately. And also we should make sure that the equipments we are using are well standardized, and all our staff are well trained to handle these equipments, so that we avoid the issue of misdiagnosis. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, guys, for joining me this morning. And as a patient, remember that you give all the information that you need to give in as far as the symptoms that you're experiencing are concerned to help the person attending to you be able to establish what exactly you're suffering from. And in case you realize you're misdiagnosed, you have a right to sue, and you have a right as a patient to go and, you know, just file your complaint concerning that. As one person says, health by choice, not by might. It's not about how much you can afford. Health is a very critical thing. You can spend on that because your life depends on it. My name is Safina Chengouma. It's been a pleasure doing this. Good Morning Kenya continues, but first up, People Like Us is up next.
A naturopath is a health practitioner who applies natural therapies to cure different diseases. Meet Dr. Richard Saningo, a naturopathic doctor who have been in this profession for over 20 years.
A naturopath is a general physician. It's a physician that deals with general disease. So naturopathy is a line of medicine that is holistic and deals with almost everything.
And how does he go about his job?
This machine, we use it to deal with people with fibroids, tumors, cancers, people who also have cysts. And it's excellent. It's excellent in taking out and changing the health of the person. It's very simple. It uses far infrared. It's a therapeutic light, and so it does not have any side effect. All you feel is a little heat. It's a little warm, but the penetrative power of it has got its healing properties. So this is another fine infrared generator, same spectrum basically, and it's also timed and computerized, and the patient, due to the fact that it's mobile, you can move it depending on where the patient is aiming.
There are few educated naturopath practitioners, which comes along with a lot of mistrust from those seeking treatment.
It's just that we do not have enough professionals nationally, or in every little town. You may not necessarily have a naturopath in every city or in every town or in every county, so to speak. So it's a question of training.
However, naturopathic doctors are recently making a headway in the country as a result of training, and therefore bringing less expenses but more alternatives.
Alternative medicine is incorporated in higher institutions of learning. It is now probably creeping into some of the universities. I'm not sure if you can get a degree of naturopathy in this country yet. I'm not sure you can get any doctorate of naturopathy in this country yet, let alone certification of herbal practice. But I think we're getting there. People are wanting to know more. Where can I get an education that leans towards alternative medicine? And so therefore, institutions of learning, not necessarily in this country yet, that are offering such higher education on alternative medicine, but it is possible to get it out there.
Like any other profession, challenges are inevitable.
There are ups and downs. There are challenges that everybody passes through, depending whether it's a collective thing like an economic crisis like what we're going through right now in Kenya. People are having difficulties in running their businesses and stuff like that. But as a profession in naturopathy, what I do, I don't see any, we don't have any particular challenges.
Being in this profession for the better part of his life, Dr. Saningo tells us more that comes with being a naturopath and the rewarding experience.